Hello and welcome back to Pseudo Gameplay TV for another character analysis. My name is Pseudo, and today, continuing through our list of characters made available through the main storyline and quest, we have the duo, and actually only duo of characters playable on the same character slot in the entire game, of Rocket and Groot. Now, real quick before we jump into their analysis, I do want to point out that I do have Cyclops, as well as Colossus, who's not featured in this screenshot, as they are parts of a free DLC update, available starting August 30th, subsequently the day that I am filming this video. And before we jump into that Infinity Rift, I will show you how you can get Cyclops and Colossus as soon as you've updated your game using an internet connection. It's a free update. You do not need to purchase the DLC expansion pack to have access to this character. But in terms of our spotlight today, Rocket and Groot is a dual character that, based off of their character history, it really only makes sense to have them both as playable characters in the same slot, as they practically do everything together in any form of medium that they've ever been in. But taking them one by one in terms of who they are or what they're capable of, in terms of their comics and representations there, Rocket it approximates the appearance of an Earth raccoon, though he is not from the planet Earth. And he's actually a little bit sensitive about being called a raccoon, as that's a derogatory statement based off of his species. However, based off of some illegal experiments on a lower life form, in addition to approximating a raccoon or having that physical appearance, he also possesses a genius-level intellect and is an accomplished starship aviator, a master tactician and field commander, as well as a skilled marksman and hand-to-hand combatant. Groot, on the other hand, didn't have any sort of experiments or anything else done on him. You know, he's not a mutated tree, but rather a extraterrestrial sentient tree-type creature. So nothing happened to a tree to cause him to be this way. This is just who he is. Now, Groot came across Rocket in one of Rocket's escapades, and have a very special link and are inseparable. They go everywhere together. Though Groot's abilities are a little more limited, where he has an accelerated healing factor, superhuman strength and durability, as well as elasticity and plasticity, so the ability to stretch his limbs and manipulate his own body to a certain extent, as well as Groot and Rocket work very well together in this game, and their abilities are split pretty evenly one between the other. So the first and third abilities are Rocket's, and the second and fourth abilities are Groot's, and then they both kind of come together for their ultimate attack. But in terms of how those work, Rocket has, as the first ability available right when you get the character, his Minefield, where he scatters multiple timed grenades in the direction that the characters are facing. Consequently, Rocket, this attack looks very similar to attacks that we've seen from Deadpool and Black Widow. So it's not terribly unique, but still unique to the character himself. Now, the second attack, primarily being done by Groot, is the Vine Whip, where Groot will extend both of his arms to mow down enemies. This is an attack that you can mash to repeatedly use, which has its uses as well, which we'll showcase. The third ability, going back to what Rocket does, is his Quantum Igniter, which he's very proud of, and makes you very well aware of that during the main story. The Quantum Igniter shoots a powerful beam. It's pretty simple. You can hold this to continue using it, and it does have a directional input manipulation as well. The fourth and final ability that they have is We Are Groot, where Groot thrusts both his hands into the ground, and then it bursts up in a circle of piercing vines. So a little bit of an approximate area of effect type attack. Now, in terms of the synergies that we have lined up today, I did max out the synergies that Rocket and Groot have by bringing Star-Lord, Captain America, and Cyclops onto the team. But without further ado, let's jump over into the Infinity Rifts with a brief pit stop at where you can acquire Colossus and Cyclops before jumping into our 200 Kree ship trial. Now you'll see here we have our first set of rifts. These ones are available pretty much from when you start the game and continue through the campaign. But as a part of this update, if you hit the L bumper, you will see that you've now been granted access to the Psi Infinity Rift, which contains the following items. We have Colossus as well as Cyclops. These are some replays of the main quest that you can just go through pretty quick in order to obtain these characters. There's a couple of side quests that you can do to unlock their alternate costumes. Do be advised that they are quite a high level quest that you would need to accomplish. And as a part of that, we actually get alternate costumes in addition to the ones we already had for Captain Marvel and Hulk. So this is a rift that you can come to. The original trials are pretty simple, providing that you have at least level 25 characters. The other ones I would advise you to be quite a bit further advanced. Is this one for Hulk's alternate costume you can't even get until you have Thanos unlocked. But apart from that, let's jump back over to our main and favorite rift to showcase Groot and Rocket. Alright, so here we are in the main rift, and you will notice that the medium attacks for Rocket are the ones that Rocket takes care of, which does make quite a bit of sense, as where he will just kind of shoot some rapid-fire blasts or pulses from his quantum igniter. He does not auto-target very well, so you may need to manipulate a little bit the direction that he's facing, but does some pretty consistent chip damage and can take out some characters pretty simply. Now, in terms of the heavy attack, which I actually recommend to be more of the primary attack you use, is Groot's sweeping arms. It's just a lot more consistent at dealing damage and has a little bit more of the melee type style, which is most of what you would see in any given circumstance. Now, the last thing we do want to check out is the aerial attack, which is if you do Rocket's aerial attack, he'll just do his standard light attack. But if you do Groot's attack while jumping up in the air, he will slam down and create an area of effect type attack. Now, in terms of the attacks that we have from Rocket and Groot, we first have the minefield, where a segment of mines are thrown out in front of them, kind of in the immediate front and more of a fan type pattern, but it is good for getting a pretty good amount of damage in. Now, the Vine Whip attack, which I showcased just a moment ago there, it has a flurry of blows in front, similar to what we've seen with Drax and a few other characters, where he will just kind of whip his extended arms out in front and knock down the characters directly in front of him. So, a little bit of his heavy attack, but done quicker and more powerful, if you can say that. Now, the third attack, the Quantum Igniter, this is a good time to showcase it because I do have Rocket's mana bar filled. Actually, that was the minefield. But the Quantum Igniter is a beam type attack, and the directional input is based off of Groot's movements rather than Rocket's, so do keep in mind that you can walk around as you use this, but it is primarily being handled by Groot's direction, while Rocket just kind of pulls the trigger and walks around. Now, in terms of the fourth and final ability, we have the We Are Groot, where this looks very similar to a Venom's attack, which you should be familiar with if you've been watching my Let's Play series, as he kind of gets down on all fours and shoots out the tendrils in all directions. But in terms of their ultimate attack, you do want to position yourself kind of in the middle of a group of enemies to make the most use of it, because Groot will walk around, circle, down, and Rocket will just kind of fire his laser in all directions, his quantum igniter in all directions. It's not highly efficient in terms of what Rocket adds to it. Most of the damage output does come from Groot, so you want to try and be as close to your opponents as possible when using it. Again, I find a lot more usefulness out of Groot specifically in this character duo just because he's the higher damage dealer, and there really aren't a whole lot of instances where you have a preference for just the melee type attackers, or the range type attackers. Looks like we have some teammates down, but Groot is in no shape currently to go revive them. With that, we will have our health recouped. So really, the most effective use of their abilities is the minefield. Has quite a bit of use, as well as the We Are Groot and the Vine Whip. The Quantum Igniter can be tricky to aim and burns through the stamina and mana bar pretty quick, so maybe not the most effective attack to use when needing to burst down large groups of enemies. I am Groot! But again, this ultimate attack affects characters in a very wide range, and you just saw it there, we took out everyone in that vicinity in order to final out the trial. So Rocket and Groot have their advantages. Not my favorite characters to use, but they do have some pretty high damage output, and you may enjoy using them more than what I do. So feel free to make your own judgment call on that. But we'll be back in a couple of days' time with our next character analysis. I am putting out videos daily about either Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3 or Smash Ultimate for the time being. We'll expand our horizons to other games in the future based off of what comes available, my interest, and your suggestions. So let me know what you think in the comments. Feel free to slap a like on the video, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to keep up to date on everything that I'm doing. So thanks again for tuning in, and you have a great rest of your day.